especially thank you to the Buccaneers for even giving me this opportunity. Y'all seen how the draft was. Y'all know I'm lucky to even get a shot. You know, seeing how Shedeur went, I knew what was going to happen to me going undrafted. So to spend this time with the Buccaneers, to be able to learn from all the great coaches we have up there, and just being in a great building with some. So, you know, I've been prepared for anything to happen, because you never know what could happen. But I truly believe God got a big plan for me, and I'm grateful to bring y'all along with me and keep y'all updated on everything.
No one saw this coming. Not the fans, not the analysts, and definitely not Shilo Sanders. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just cut him out of nowhere. One minute, he's gearing up for another NFL season. The next, he's out, gone, waived, just like that. And while the internet was still catching its breath, Shiloh broke the silence. He didn't go off. He didn't call anyone out. What he did instead left everyone stunned.
First and foremost, I just want to say I believe in God, and I know God always got a plan for me. He always had, and you know, regardless of anything that's ever happened to me, I've always came out on top. I've always came out winning, you know, and I feel like this is just part of my story, you know, to grow and do bigger and better things.
Because the way he responded, calm, composed, and almost too prepared, has fans asking one major question. Did Shilo Sanders already know this was coming? Some say he's done with football. Others believe this is just the beginning of a whole new chapter. And then, his brother Shedeur dropped a cryptic post that sent social media into a frenzy. We're talking drama, mystery, and a deeper story the NFL probably doesn't want you to know. Let's break it all down, from the shocking cut to the quiet message that may have said way more than anyone expected. Because one thing's becoming pretty clear: this isn't just about football anymore. When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers announced they were waiving Shilo Sanders, the reaction wasn't just confusion, it was shock. This wasn't some struggling practice squad player fighting to stay relevant. This was Shilo Sanders, a rising defensive back with NFL blood running through his veins, a solid college track record, and arguably one of the most recognizable last names in football.
The NFL is just, I mean, they call it not for long league. Nothing's ever certain. Even if you make the team, it's not certain. So you always want to not really have a backup plan, but you always want to have other interests that you're interested in. You know, I've always done that my whole life, playing football.
Ask any fan just a few weeks ago where they thought Shiloh would be, and no one would have predicted this. Even the critics who weren't fully sold on him didn't expect him to get waived this early. Why would they? Leading up to the decision, the buzz was optimistic. Coaches praised his work ethic, insiders hinted at future development, and everything pointed toward him at least sticking around through the season. But then, boom! One brutal roster cut and it was over. No press conference, no warning signs, just a one-line update in a sea of quiet waivers. But this one hit different, because for all his talent and visibility, Shiloh isn't just another player vying for a spot, he's a symbol of a new era of athlete. Someone who knows how to move through both the football world and the media world.
And I truly just want to say I appreciate everyone for everything. I've had the best time up here in Tampa, but you know, everything just happens for a reason, and it is what it is. I've been talking to my agent, and we're waiting on the next opportunity. If that's the NFL, cool. But God's blessed me with a lot of talents to do other things other than play football, you know. And I feel like in every athlete's life, it becomes a point to where the game ends for you. And I'm not saying that's what it is now. I'm just saying.
And make no mistake, that dual identity may have played a bigger part in all this than some people want to admit. For context, Shiloh had already built a name far beyond the field. He's active on YouTube, has a solid social media following, and has long been known for being more than just Deion's son. And in the NFL, a league that still has a pretty rigid view on humility, hierarchy, and what it means to earn your spot, that can rub certain decision-makers the wrong way. Still, no concrete signs suggested his roster security was in danger. In fact, interviews with Bucs staff seemed to imply they liked what they saw. He wasn't perfect, he's still developing, like any young defensive back, but nothing that screamed career-ending cut. Which leads to a question that's been circulating in fan circles since: was something else going on behind the scenes? Some fans believe this move wasn't about skill at all, but strategy, politics, optics, maybe even branding, because Shiloh's presence shines too bright for some.
Whether it's finding another team, whether it's, getting another opportunity in the NFL, it is what it is. I truly believe God, and I don't question anything, and I believe everything happens for a reason. But, my time being up here with the Buccaneers has been nothing but great. Just the city, my teammates, my coaches, everybody's always poured in love and support towards me, and I'll forever be grateful for that.
He's confident, media savvy, stylish, in control of his image. And that's not always embraced in a league where tradition still reigns. Whatever the reason, the waiver was anything but expected. To be clear, this wasn't just about numbers in a roster crunch or some harmless decision during preseason. For Shiloh, this signaled a turning point, and fans were left waiting for answers, for clarity, maybe even for closure. And that's exactly what he gave them. Sort of. Because hours later, Shiloh dropped a video that felt more like a statement than a reaction. It wasn't angry. It wasn't dramatic. It was calculated, smooth, and surprisingly optimistic. But it's what he didn't say that really caught people's attention. Just hours after the news broke, Shilo Sanders did something that most cut NFL players avoid. He spoke up, not through a press release, not through his agent, but through a camera, sitting down one-on-one with his audience and dropping a video on his personal YouTube channel raw, unfiltered, and surprisingly composed.
Mentally, I'm good because I know that I got a lot of talents and I've been blessed. And basically every athlete comes to this point to where you find yourself without the game of football, and then you thinking about what can you do next, what now? And I'm thankful for my family, my friends, and just my support system. I've been cool, I've been good.
The title of the video said it all. I got waived by the Buccaneers. But what he said inside the video, that's what turned heads. Instead of anger, he talked about faith. Instead of frustration, he spoke about growth. And instead of blaming the team or anyone else, Shiloh made it clear he wasn't broken. In the clip, which runs just over 4 minutes, he starts with a calm voice. First and foremost, I believe in God. He always has a plan for me. Always has. Always will. Not exactly what most would say after being blindsided by an NFL roster cut. But that's the thing. Shiloh didn't seem blindsided. In fact, if anything, he sounded like someone who had already processed the moment long before it happened.
I've been seeing y'all's comments, y'all's DMs. I appreciate all the love and support, but I wanted to make this video today to make sure y'all know that I'm straight, everything great, and I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Like the decision was just a formality in a story he had already come to peace with. He goes on to say that he's always ended up winning after setbacks, a theme we've seen before with Shiloh, a player whose college career included transfers, critics, and constant comparisons to both his brother and his legendary father. But then he dropped a subtle line that instantly sparked speculation. Whether it's another team or it's time to use the other talents God gave me, I'll be fine either way. Wait, other talents? That wasn't just a throwaway comment. Throughout the rest of the video, Shiloh began planting seeds that he wasn't just thinking about football anymore. He talked about how every athlete eventually faces a moment where the game doesn't define them. A point when they have to look in the mirror and ask, what now? And he seemed ready for that question. Shiloh mentioned passions outside of football, music, modeling, even acting. For most fringe NFL players, talking about backup plans sounds like defeat. But for Shiloh, it sounded like strategy.
With some great players, it was a great experience for me, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I just want to make this video to let y'all know everything's great. And I'm just staying in shape, staying ready for the next opportunity, and we'll be ready for anything. I appreciate y'all.
As the video continued, he thanked the Buccaneers, every teammate, every coach, the city of Tampa. There was zero bitterness in his energy. No blame, no hard feelings, but also no desperation to return either. It was a perfect blend of class and purposeful distance, like someone closing a chapter, not begging for a rewrite. And fans noticed. Some were proud, others were confused. But everyone agreed on one thing. This didn't sound like a football player who just lost everything. It sounded like a man who already knew he had options and nothing to prove. But the story doesn't end there. Because just as Shiloh's video was gaining traction, his brother Shedeur posted something that took the internet by storm and added another layer to an already strange situation. As Shiloh's video continued to spread online, one thing became crystal clear. This wasn't just a player reacting to a setback, it was someone transitioning into a new chapter, and possibly a whole new identity. Sure, he spoke respectfully about his time with the Buccaneers, but when you read between the lines, something deeper was going on. It felt less like he was mourning a missed opportunity, and more like he was mentally moving on. He even said it himself. "I feel like every athlete hits a point where the game doesn't define you anymore." That's not the kind of thing NFL hopefuls usually say right after being waived. That kind of statement sounds like someone who's already accepted the possibility that football might not be the end goal, and, more importantly, someone who's totally okay with it. Shiloh didn't come across as crushed, he came across as prepared. In fact, he even hinted that he had been intentionally unplugged from social media for a while, something he only does when he's laser-focused on football. But now, it seems the focus may be shifting. He told fans that he'd been talking to his agent, waiting for the next opportunity whether in the NFL or not, and then he said something that really made people raise their eyebrows. "God's blessed me with a lot of talents, not just football." That wasn't an emotional response, that was a chess move. Let's not forget who we're talking about here. Shilo Sanders isn't some average draft hopeful trying to hang on by a thread. He's the son of Deion Sanders. He's been in the spotlight since childhood. And through it all, the pressure, the expectations, the media circus, he's carved out his own identity, not just as an athlete, but as a brand. He plays piano, he produces content, he's modeled, he's acted, and more importantly, he's comfortable in the spotlight in ways most rookies just aren't. So, was this video a goodbye to football? Not exactly. He never said he was done, not even close. If anything, Shiloh left the door wide open for the NFL to call back. But the key difference? It didn't sound like he was waiting by the phone. He wasn't pleading. He wasn't panicking. He sounded free. And when an athlete that confident starts talking like that, it usually means one of two things. They know another opportunity is already around the corner, or they've already found something else worth chasing. Either way, that video changed how fans saw this moment. What could have been a crushing L suddenly started to look like a calculated pivot, a potential reset that wasn't forced but chosen. And that's when his brother Shedeur jumped in, and whether intentionally or not, he might have added fuel to a theory fans were already whispering about. Just as fans were digesting Shiloh's video, something unexpected happened, and it didn't come from Shiloh at all. It came from his younger brother, Shilo Sanders, maybe the most high-profile college quarterback in the country, and someone whose every post gets dissected like a presidential speech. This time, he posted just one sentence. No context, no name, just vibes. God doesn't make mistakes. When you realize everything happens for a reason, you'll find peace in your situation. That was it. Short, spiritual, calm, but also loaded. Within minutes, the speculation began. Was he talking about Shiloh and the Buccaneers situation? Was he talking about himself, given the rumors surrounding his own future? Or was he speaking on something that neither brother has publicly admitted yet? The timing was too close to ignore. Shiloh had just dropped his video. The NFL world was still reacting. And here comes Shedeur, subtly echoing the exact same tone, faith, destiny, letting go of control. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. He didn't jump online to post "Free Shiloh." He didn't bash the Bucs, didn't even mention his brother by name. Instead, he dropped a calm message that to some almost felt like preparation, like he knew what was going to happen before it hit the media. Maybe even before Shiloh hit upload. Some fans believe it was confirmation that the Sanders brothers already knew this was coming, that it wasn't about sudden cuts or surprise endings. It was about a reality they had seen building in the background and one they've been mentally preparing to walk away from. What's more interesting, Shedeur's own situation. There's been tension buzzing for weeks around his future plans, especially regarding the NFL. Some reports claim Cleveland has been eyeing him. Others say he might stay at Colorado another year if the situation isn't right. ESPN analysts have debated whether his draft stock is dropping, rising, or becoming unpredictable because of the weight that comes with the Sanders name. So, when he talks about peace, God, and everything happens for a reason, fans immediately started connecting the dots. Is Shedeur just being supportive? Or is he hinting at something we still don't know? Online threads lit up with theories. Some claimed the brothers were planning a joint post-NFL project. Others speculated Shiloh might be stepping behind the scenes of Shedeur's career, managing, branding, or producing something bigger than football. A few even tossed out a wild idea, a media empire built by the Sanders family outside the NFL entirely. Far-fetched? Maybe? But what's undeniable is this. Shedeur's post took what felt like a personal loss and turned it into a ripple effect. The kind that makes you stop and wonder, is this a setback for the Sanders brothers or the first step in something way bigger? On the surface, Shilo Sanders being cut by the Buccaneers seemed like any other NFL business move. Teams make last-minute roster decisions all the time. Players come and go, especially young guys trying to lock in a spot. But something about this situation feels off. Why? Because this one doesn't add up. Let's start with the basics. Shiloh isn't a superstar, not yet, but he's not an underperformer either. He had a solid college resume, showed flashes of potential, drew positive feedback during NFL evaluations, and teammates seemed to rally around him. Most believed he had a real shot at staying on the roster, even if it meant starting out on special teams or as a backup safety. And yet, he's gone. Quietly waived. No statements from the team, no reports of injury, discipline issues, or off-field concerns. Just a clean dismissal, the kind that usually flies under the radar, unless it involves someone named Sanders. Which brings us to the real question. Fans have started asking, was this really about performance? Or was it something else entirely? That's where the speculation gets louder. Some believe the NFL, or at least certain teams, aren't fully comfortable with who Shiloh is off the field. He's not just a football guy, he's a personality, a brand. Someone who shows up to practice ready to work, but who might also post a YouTube vlog the night before. To the average viewer, that makes him more relatable. But to more traditional corners of the NFL, that's seen as distraction, flash, noise. Because, let's be real, this league still favors players who keep their heads down and focus on the game. And players like Shiloh, they challenge that mold, loudly. Then there's the last name, Sanders. Being Deion Sanders' son comes with massive expectations and massive scrutiny. His father, now one of the most influential figures in college football, has made it clear that times are changing. He's building brands, raising profiles, and teaching his players how to capitalize on their image, not just their performance. And while that has worked wonders at Colorado, it may not be as welcomed behind closed doors in NFL circles. Because in the NFL, the business of football is just as ruthless as the sport itself. Some fans even believe Shiloh's cut was a statement, a subtle message to other young players about where the invisible line lies. A reminder that no matter how charismatic or popular you are, if the league thinks you're doing too much, your spot is no longer guaranteed. Of course, no official source has confirmed anything beyond the waiver itself. No red flags, no headlines, just whispers. But in today's world, whispers drive conversation. And the more people listen to Shiloh's response, watch his demeanor, and connect the timing of Shedeur's post, the more this starts to feel like a situation that was never just about football to begin with. Because this doesn't look like an athlete getting left behind. It looks like someone being pushed out or pulling away. And with what Shiloh did next, one thing became undeniably clear. This isn't the end of his story. It just might be the start of something the NFL never saw coming. As the video neared its end, Shilo Sanders dropped what felt like a subtle but powerful mic drop, not with volume, but with clarity. He didn't say, "I'm done with football." He didn't say, "I'm coming back stronger." Instead, he said something in between, something rare, especially for an athlete staring at uncertainty on the biggest stage. He said, "The NFL is the not-for-long league, but I've been blessed with a lot of talents other than just football. I'm good either way. No panic. No desperation. Just peace." Most young players in that situation do everything in their power to scream to the league, "Don't forget about me." They start sharing training videos, tagging teams, pushing workout content, staying in everyone's face with one message, "I still belong on the field." Shiloh? He just bowed out quietly. For now. But the way he framed his message made fans stop and think, is this a final goodbye to football? Or is it a strategic reset, a pause before launching into something even bigger? Because here's the thing. Shiloh isn't just some player with a lot of hobbies. He's a young man who's already operating like a media brand. He has a YouTube channel with a loyal following. He's been transparent about his passion for music, particularly playing piano, modeling, and entertainment. Already in the works. Some call it a plan B. Others call it smart. Because whether he makes another NFL roster or not, Shilo Sanders isn't starting over, he's just shifting lanes. And unlike most rookies or practice squad hopefuls, he actually can afford to take that risk. Why? Because he's been building a versatile identity from the start. Football was just supposed to be one chapter, not the whole book. But here's where things get even more interesting. In the video, Shiloh made one thing crystal clear. He's waiting. I've talked to my agent. We're going to see what other opportunities come our way. He's not done. Not officially, not emotionally. That fire is still there, you can hear it tucked between the calm words he delivers. But there's also maturity. He's not begging for opportunity, he's letting it come to him on his terms. And maybe the waiver wasn't a door closing. It was just a sign to reroute. Because here's what fans are starting to realize. Shiloh doesn't need the NFL to define him anymore, and that threatens everything we've been trained to believe about what success looks like for athletes. Some players lose the league and spiral. Shiloh? He's adapting, calculating, moving pieces behind the scenes. You don't react like this unless you've already thought a few moves ahead. So the question isn't whether Shiloh will make a comeback in football, it's whether he even needs to. Whether you're a die-hard NFL fan or just someone who's followed the Sanders family through college football, one thing is becoming crystal clear. Shilo Sanders is not just another waived player. He's not another underdog fighting from the bottom, begging for a second chance. This is someone who came into the league with more than just potential. He came in with experience, a platform, a recognizable last name, and something even more powerful: self-awareness. That word might sound soft in a league obsessed with toughness, but it's one of the strongest traits a young athlete can have, especially in today's world, where careers can rise and fall overnight based on how you handle pressure, public scrutiny, and your own internal doubts. And Shiloh? He didn't flinch. That YouTube video wasn't a panic move. It wasn't a sad goodbye. It wasn't even damage control. It was a declaration. Calm, clear, and cool. By speaking up, Shiloh controlled the narrative before anyone else could twist it. And while most athletes remain silent, letting rumors swirl and perceptions harden, Shiloh faced the moment directly. That alone sets him apart. But here's where it gets even deeper. Shiloh's composed reaction revealed a truth that fans, and frankly, the league often overlook. Not every athlete's dream ends at the NFL. For a lot of these guys, the league isn't the pinnacle, it's a step. A window, a chapter, and if it closes, there's still an entire book to write. We live in an era where athletes are building brands, launching businesses, directing documentaries, producing music, and reaching millions with a 2-minute video. The locker rooms don't define them the way they used to. And Shilo Sanders embodies that shift like very few others. He's a Division I athlete, he's a creator. He plays instruments, he models, he acts. And he speaks with emotional intelligence that, quite frankly, most rookies haven't even developed yet. That's not accidental, that's intentional. Everything about his response, from the timing to the tone, felt prepared. Not rehearsed, but aligned. This wasn't someone who just lost their only shot. This was someone pivoting, adaptable, and fully in control of what comes next. Which brings us to the bigger question. Did the NFL just underestimate him? It's a fair question. In a league that's still slow to accept individuality, the wrong personality can be treated like a threat. And there's a thin line between having confidence and being labeled too flashy. The Sanders family walks that line daily, not because they try to stir controversy, but because they refuse to tone themselves down. And if you've followed Shedeur and Shiloh even for a little while, you've probably heard this mantra: we're coming. Not just in football, not just season to season. They're coming for everything. That phrase isn't just motivation, it's a mission, a movement. So maybe this waiver wasn't a failure of Shiloh. Maybe it was the NFL being unprepared, uncomfortable, outpaced. Because when you look at the bigger picture, this moment might not be the end of anything at all. It might be the beginning. Imagine this. 6 months from now, Shiloh's not just back on a football field. He's doing content series, hosting podcasts, composing scores, walking in fashion shows, acting in films, or maybe even turning cameras on other athletes and telling their untold stories. He doesn't have to follow the traditional script. He has the tools, and more importantly, he has the platform. Let's not forget, this same exact non-traditional playbook is the one his father has used for decades. Deion moved from football to baseball to broadcasting to business and now back to college coaching, and he rewrote the rules every time. Shiloh has absorbed that blueprint, customized it, modernized it with social media, and now he may be ready to use it in a way we've never seen before. So here's the bottom line. Shilo Sanders didn't just get waived. He got redirected. And how you interpret that says more about you than about him. Some people see a young man being cut from a roster. Others see a future mogul being cut loose from limitations. If there's anything we've learned from this moment, it's that Shilo Sanders isn't worried about being liked or even being picked. He's worried about being real, staying true to himself, following the plan God put in front of him. And that kind of mindset? That's dangerous. Not to him, but to any system that expects silence, conformity, or submission. So whether another NFL team calls, or whether he answers a completely different calling, Shiloh will be just fine. And if you're watching closely and really listening, you already know, the story's not over. It's just getting interesting.